Hi everybody and welcome to the Blue Room. This afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you are, we'll be talking about the GDS, the global distribution systems of the airlines of late, and as time progressed, various other elements of travel, including accommodation. I would the aim of the exercise this afternoon is really to try to explain the GDS in the context of what we're doing, and to try to make it clearer as to whether you would benefit from coverage in the GDS, and what the costs would be and how you do it, basically. This afternoon we're welcoming Kat McLeod from Hotel Res, Michelle Ray from Stay City, and Matthew Dealey-Harkett from Situ. I would like as well at this stage to thank the very valued sponsors of the Blue Room and Saba Networking: Quality in Tourism, Safe, Clean and Legal Accreditation, Integrum PMS by AVQuest, and the Eden Group, including Locked Living. So without further ado, I will put myself on the screen. Welcome. And bring on Sarah. If I may, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. So Sarah from Quality in Tourism. Sarah, would you like to tell the viewers a little bit about Quality in Tourism, Safe, Clean and Legal, and how they can benefit from your programme?
Brilliant. Hello. Thanks, Richard. Hello, everybody. So as Richard said, my name's Sarah White. I work as Operations Manager within Quality in Tourism. What we are doing at the moment is we're offering the Safe, Clean and Legal accreditation. This was launched in 2018, but in light of the pandemic last year, we've added enhanced cleaning regimes to it, cleaning checklists, some best practices, and just some general good practice that we can help you all with. So we also sort of check alongside your risk assessment, so we can help you fill out your risk assessment. All a bit scary, I know. Also, we can assist with your fire risk assessment, but we also look at things like your employer's liability certificate, your employee and public liability certificates, and we just sort of ask for things like your gas certification. So we're generally, just as it says on the tin, we're ensuring that you are safe, clean and legal. We are there to help you every step of the way. We will then come and do a physical check with you on your property, just to make things, look at things like your smoke alarms, your CO2 monitors, that you've got fire extinguishers in place, etc. And we're at the end of the phone if you need any help at all. So at the end of the day, if you're happy and you're safe, then the opening your doors, then all of your customers that will come to you will have an enjoyable and safe experience. So as I say, if we can help you in any way, please contact us at Quality in Tourism. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Sarah. Thank you. And yeah, so we'll see you shortly. So I'm just going to remove you now from the stage. And Scott, Scott, welcome. Scott from Eden. If you could perhaps introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Eden and Locked Living and everything.
Fantastic. Thank you, Richard. So basically, Eden ourselves, we're one of the very many suppliers that you can book through the GDS system. We are fully bookable for 1 night stay all the way up to 28. Whatever you want to book us, we can book us through the GDS system. So a little bit about our brand. So our story, our purpose is to engage and inspire with the distinct designed apart hotels, which are firmly rooted in the neighborhood and offering a vibrant experience and also connections as well to our guests.
Fabulous. Thank you very much indeed.
Sorry, Richard. Sorry, I think I froze a little there. I do apologize.
Yeah.
I've still got a little more. Our mantra is basically for soulful hospitality. We believe that travel should be a rich journey of discovery and rewarding curiosity with knowledge and inspiration. And to do this, we've created sanctuaries where free thinkers can belong. So we want our guests to leave the apart hotels with stories to tell, with long-lasting memories and also new friendships as well. So all of our apartments will have great lengths taken to make sure that the guest is always at the center of the experience. Also, our colleagues, our Edenites, have a deep-rooted values which we seek out collaborations with like-minded individuals like we're doing today. So that's why we sponsored this event for the Blue Room. So it's important to have the courage to question, to evolve, and also at the end of the day, to be human. To find Eden, you need to return to the garden. We are a very flowery green brand. We do like to have fresh green foliage in all of our apartments to make sure that we feel like you're living. And our garden is fully blossomed with brands. So our Lock brand, which Richard mentioned, this is our lifestyle design brand. So basically, it's an immersive apart hotel experience in the local neighborhoods, which with co-working spaces and also with local F&B partners on site, it makes the guests and non-guests feel like locals, no matter where they've come from. Another brand we have is our Seiko brand. Now, Seiko is our classic corporate service departments. What you'd expect with the clean designs, very functional what we're doing, fully fitted kitchens, and you could spend 1 day or 1 year or even longer, which are, again, are bookable through the GDS. We also have a bit of a crossover brand. Now, this is Cove. Cove is our new brand where you can travel and work from your home from home. So a lot of people now are working very differently with what's gone on in the past year or so. So this is why the Cove is so important to us. It's giving people sanctuaries when they need them.
Okay. Yeah. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
If you'd like any more information on us, we do have our website, Finding Eden. You can also find our sub-brands through that. And we are appearing at the BTS next week. So if you're down there, come by and visit us if you wish. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show, guys.
Fabulous. Thanks, Scott. You're okay. You're in the garden. We're stuck inside.
That's what I was trying. We're very on brand. Eden, right?
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that.
All righty. Great pleasure. Bye. And next on the stage is Raj from AVQuest. Hi, Raj.
Hi, Richard. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Raj, CEO of AVQuest. Sponsors of Blue Room have been from day one, and we're really looking forward to today's discussion. AVQuest is a fintech company based in London. We're primarily known for payments. Our main product is a plugin that goes into most popular PMSs like Opera, ProTel, etc., which automates OTA payments and other payments directly into your bank account at the fastest possible speed. In addition to that, from the OTA payments plugin, we do a lot of fraud analysis. We ensure that your money is protected and that you are also protected, especially with all the latest legislation that's around. In addition to the OTA payments plugin, from there, we also have an analytics product. So you can actually get competitor analysis as well as a revenue management module that helps you keep abreast of what's happening with the revenue within the organization. And in addition to that, there's also emailing and survey technology to help you with your understanding the customer journey and actually helping the customer journey be a successful one. In addition to those products, we also have, for those people who haven't got PMSs or channel managers, we have a lower cost Integrum PMS package, which covers all the basics that you need to run your business and make it successful. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed today's session on the Blue Room. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you. And thanks to Raj and all the valued sponsors. I would just like to make the point, really, I think, and it became apparent to me at the recent Service Department Awards, these things wouldn't happen without the sponsors, actually. So that it is that important. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Raj, Sarah, and Scott. So... Right. Before we actually no, let's bring the panelists on stage. So we'll do so Kat, Michelle, and Matthew. I'll do in that order just so I don't shock you as you come up on stage. So there's Kat, Michelle, and Matthew, and then I'm going to remove that. What's going on there? Matthew, I think you might need to move the camera a tiny bit so that we see a bit more. That's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. What I'd like to do before you do your individual introductions, I would like to say hello to some of the people that are logging in here. And by the way, if you've already posted, but you haven't posted with your company name, then please go ahead and do so. Let's so we've got Natalie Pomeroy, Now the profit rooms, is it, Natalie? But let us know about that one. Adam Walsh, good to see you. Good to see you too, Adam. Thank you. Adam from Star PMS. Erica Burton, thank you very much, Erica. Yeah, you're lucky you didn't get me moonwalking across the screen, to be honest. But please, yeah, let's post with the company names. Sorry, we have Mike Stapley. Hi, Mike. Oh, you have to Laputa Consultancy. You have to help me there, Mike. There are so many logged on, to be honest with you. I am losing it here. But we might dive into the discussion because otherwise it'll be 6 o'clock before we start. Jack from Striker. Jack is a corporate over in the States. Philip Leonard. Philip, hi. Interim Homes. Let's leave that for now, and we will. Right, let's go back into the discussion. So, or let's start the discussion. So, Kat, Matthew, and Michelle. Kat, Michelle, Matthew, in that order. Would you like to introduce yourselves, please, first of all, and then what I'll do is kick off with some lay introductions on the GDS, and then we'll come back to you for the discussion itself. So, Kat, over to you.
Thank you, Richard, and hello, everyone. My name is Kat McLeod. I'm from HotelRes Hotels and Resorts, which is a full-service GDS representation and connectivity provider to the hospitality industry. And we work with all properties that have a requirement and a benefit from GDS, from a 4-bedroom pub to hundreds of bedroom 5-star properties in Dubai, and everything in between, including our good friends, Stay City. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Kat. Hi, everybody. So my name is Michelle Ray. I'm the head of the GDS sales for Stay City Apart Hotel Group. We currently operate 23 properties between the UK, Ireland, France, Germany, and Italy. We're centrally located in all of these cities, and we're looking forward to opening up 7 properties in the next 6 months between our Stay City core brand and our Wild premium brand.
Fantastic. Thanks, Michelle. And over to you, Matthew.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everybody. So I'm Matthew Dealey-Harkier. I am the TMC account manager here at Situ. So Situ, we are an apartment agency. So we sit in the middle between all of our suppliers, all the apartment providers, and my role is to then be that bridge between the suppliers and the TMCs. So in terms of distribution, this is a really great topic to be talking about.
Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, indeed it is. It's one which is a mystery to many people, I think. I would like to I ran a couple of polls on LinkedIn and on Facebook recently. It was basically then covering, capturing limited data from hoteliers, service departments, and service accommodation providers. I think I'm probably right in saying, but Kat can certainly put me right in due course on this one, but around about 90% of hotels are on the GDS. I was on a webinar recently and they looked at me in a very, very strange fashion. I looked at my question in a very strange fashion and saying basically, I asked how many what percentage of hotels are on the GDS. They kind of looked like a drop from Mars and said, well, isn't it 100? So, which is probably right, just so the viewers here get a little bit of context of how big the GDS is and how established it is, really. I think, in a nutshell, the corporate service department world and possibly the corporate housing world is around about 50%, and serviced accommodation providers, the newer entrants into the market coming out of Airbnb and offering often contractor accommodation, probably around the 0%. Again, lay introduction to GDS started in the 1960s, started with Sabre and American Airlines, backed by IBM, and was a kind of middleman technology e-commerce. Before e-commerce, it was introduced to us all through the internet. But I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder there, and so I will probably hand over to you, Kat, to perhaps give us a bit of background on the GDS, and then start the conversation rolling really. So over to you.
Thank you, Richard. So Gold Star, 1959, teaming with IBM, American Airlines. It has continued to grow. So the first thing is, what is the GDS? It's really, what are the GDSs? And the GDS are a number of systems, most commonly Sabre, Travelport, which makes up WorldSpan and Galileo, Amadeus, which is the biggest European global distribution system, and also Disco, which can often be a bit of a missing part for properties that are new to the global distribution system. So the first thing is really understanding that the GDSs are an ecosystem of systems. They're used by travel agents to book accommodation. And over the last 20 years, we've seen a wonderful growth in the accessibility of the GDSs to a much broader variety of properties. Typically, before, it was your corporate 80-bedroom, 4-star city centre hotel. Now, the GDS is accessible to a much broader range of properties. And that's largely because of the improved integrations that we have now, that hotels will be and properties will be on a global distribution system with a provider which will connect either with their PMS or their channel manager. Providers like HotelRes will connect with over 60 different property management systems, over 30 different channel managers. So that's the first thing, really. It's become much more accessible because people can connect. What we understand with HotelRes and in terms of representation and connectivity is that the GDS ecosystem is really important to focus on the two sides. One is the accommodation providers, and the other part is the bookers. So the bookers within the GDS environment are the travel management companies, the consortia of travel agents, but also the guests themselves, booking by their corporate self-booking tool. So in summary, a big ecosystem made up of the bookers and the supply, which is in this instance, the serviced accommodation providers. And really, we can explore how you can identify whether you'll benefit from the GDS and whether your bookers are booking via the GDS and what questions you can ask. And we can explore that further.
Thanks, Kat. Could I ask, you mentioned about the consortia and the TMCs, so the travel management companies, and then you also said kind of corporates through their self-booking tools. The self-booking tools, are they on the internet?
Yes, so very often, and I have a regular dinner party conversation with people. They go, "Oh, what do you do?" And I say, "Well, have you ever booked travel through a travel agent?" And sometimes they say yes, and I say, "Oh, CWT, yes." So we work with CWT to identify independent properties in the right locations for their clients. But sometimes they'll say, "No, we book it online." And you dig down a bit deeper. And for example, Shell, if they're booking through their self-booking tool in their own intranet, actually the rates, availability, images and information are all being pulled from the GDS. In the same way as if somebody booking today via the government portal powered by CTM and Redfern is booking their quarantine stay, then that is powered pulling from the GDS, which is Sabre. In this instance. So very often the booker may not realize that the website they're using or the intranet they're using is powered by the global distribution system. So one of the first things that we do with our hotels and our accommodation providers is understand who are your guests, who are your clients, who are your target clients, and how do they need to book? Do they have a travel management policy? Have they engaged a travel management company? Something like 24% of travel management companies that use travel management companies have changed that company over the last 18 months. There was some research out by the BTN recently on that. So part of helping hotels target that business is making sure that we understand who is the booker, which channel do they book through, what are the routes to market to help you get each of those bookers. And sometimes those routes to market will be the GDS. Sometimes it can be your own website. So it's understanding that diversity of distribution.
Right. And you mentioned there about the intranet, the corporate intranets pulling from the GDS, and similarly, and I don't know if you mentioned it through in if you mentioned, but then the GDS pulls off the various the inventories of the different companies, doesn't it? It does. You don't hold the rates and availability on the GDS as such. It pulls the rates in from various sources. So when you book on the GDS, the room is actually then disappearing off the accommodation provider's inventory.
Yes, in an ideal world, that's the case. And I think something at this stage it's very important to point out is that, not all GDS connectivity and representation is equal. And I sometimes use the supermarket analogy that it's very important to understand where your buyers are shopping. So to make sure that you're in the right programs. Some shops will stock your product all the time. Some other shops you may need to negotiate a direct relationship with. So that's where the representation element comes in, where somebody is actually building a relationship specifically with the booking, the travel management company, and the corporate. In addition, not all GDS suppliers will represent a property across all of the GDS systems. But I would urge anybody considering to go onto the GDS to be on all of the systems. The most common feedback I receive from properties that are on perhaps one GDS but not on the others because they're with a connectivity only supplier is that, oh, well, the GDS doesn't really work for us. And usually we see that is because it is in the supermarket, but it's in the back room, and it's only buyable if you know exactly where to look to ask somebody to go and get it out of the back room, rather than with a representation company like, Hotel Res, small luxury hotels, leading hotels of the world would be good examples of representation companies, which are actually putting the property for sale on the shelf where it can be booked and visible.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that, Kat. You mentioned supermarkets. I didn't realise there was any other supermarket than Waitrose. So
I know, I was shocked, but apparently,
there are other. Yeah. Okay. Right. It's for anyone not in the UK. It's the posh place to shop, or at least it's posh enough for me. Right. And Michelle, I'm going to put you up to the top of the screen because then we'll at least see your identity. Forgive me for a minute, Kat. That should work. Has it worked? It's not worked on my computer, on my screen yet. There we go. Oh, right. Sorry, and now we've lost your head. Down a bit now. Sorry. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah. So Michelle, as a user of GDS, what's your experience? Is Stay City are relatively new to the GDS? Are they? Certainly, your own role.
Yeah, would be only like a couple of years, and we didn't account manage it in the beginning. It was something like, as Kat was saying, it was just on the shelf there, plodding along by itself. But really, you do have to work it, and I think that's why we use Hotel Res as well, is for the representation. Because if you're not a well-known brand in the area, on the GDS, you need some representation behind you to get you out there. And similar to what we are like to Stay City, we weren't familiar. We'd be very big in the relocation world, but not in the GDS world. So we needed somebody that was able to represent us across the 4 channels. And because we're in, the UK, Ireland, and France, we have different channels producing into us. So you know, say going back to a normal year, you know, pre-COVID in 2019, like Sabre was huge for us into Dublin. It's a big, huge American market. But similarly, it might not have produced as much into our Berlin property, but Amadeus was probably great for, you know, for France and Germany. So it's like, it's such a big tool. It's like, it's enormous. And, you know, you can go down a rabbit hole with it, like, but to try and get yourself familiar with it. But I think for ourselves really is to dig in deep and look at those channels, see what is produced in the past for us. You know, hopefully everything is going well now in the next couple of months, and we can utilize the data that we have from those channels to then look at the TMCs that are producing. And it's like layers, you know, as you go down. So then you look and see what TMCs, what companies have been represented with these TMCs. And then, you know, an awful lot as well is like apart from me looking after the TMCs and representation there, it's our salespeople on the ground, you know, really looking to see what companies are producing, who's, you know, within a 10-minute walk or a 3-mile radius of our properties, because that's really important as well. You know, as much as people feel that they want to get onto all these big programs, whether it's Deloitte or it's Facebook, you have to be realistic with it. And, you know, you need the company that's on your doorstep as opposed to chasing a dream of being on it, you know. So this year, I think we've really, I started to look after it initially. I was looking after Dublin, and we're really account managing it with Hotel Res, you know, looking at the TMCs directly ourselves. And really utilizing all the information that we have online. Like, as I said, it is massive, and it can be very time consuming, and it can seem quite ominous at times when you first start on it. But once you get into it and you realize how beneficial it is, and, you know, service departments are new on it in the last couple of years as well. So it's, you know, it's kind of, you know, going to these TMCs as well and telling them how good our product is. You know, we are as good as a hotel, but, you know, we have then the extra functions of the kitchens and everything like that as well. I think sometimes people just think, oh my God, a service department, there's going to be no reception. It's probably in the middle of nowhere or whatever. And that's not the case. We're fully functioning, you know, buildings with everything on it as well. So for me, it's been a real journey for me in the last couple of months. I've learned an awful lot, because I was at the other, you know, side of it where I was, you know, chasing the companies. So to be at this side, it is really good. It's really beneficial, but you'll get out of it what you put into it, is basically what I'd say. 100%.
Brilliant. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for that. And, you know, I've got quite a few questions, but I'll come back on those. Thank you. And yeah, Matthew. So Matthew and Situ. So you don't actually use the GDS, but you do. But obviously, TMCs are an important market for your travel management companies and the corporates that use them. Maybe if I could hand over to you, please, and so you can explain a little bit about Situ and how your approach to TMCs, which is perhaps you could argue really is an alternative to the GDS. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely, Richard. So I feel that with regards to distribution, I think it's a kind of a broader topic. So similarly to what Michelle has said in terms of and Kat in terms of, you know, exposure. I think, you know, the statistic that you said at the start from some of these polls that you mentioned, where people are saying service departments have not really had much presence in the GDS. I think the key that, you know, we're finding when talking to the TMCs in trying to kind of level the playing field, or at least get some market share from the hotels where there is demand there, especially coming out of the pandemic, where people, you know, service departments have been, you know, more on the radar, more in demand than ever before. But it's about distribution with the TMCs, and it's getting, you know, pretty much as Kat said about the supermarket analogy I loved. I think it's, you know, being available for people and being visible. The GDS is such a powerful tool that has been in the industry for, you know, decades, as you've said, since the 60s. And I think that is such a, you know, traditional, tried and tested way for people to book, that to kind of be on board and get the distribution is everybody's booking everything online. And as you said earlier, Richard, about the OTAs coming on board, I think TMCs over the last few years are diversifying in terms of the content that they're providing and pulling from all those different sources. So you've got the GDS providing a lot of content, you've got a lot of plugins and APIs. So there's lots of different ways to get your content to the corporates and to the travel agencies that can distribute your product. And what we're hearing from a lot of TMCs is there's always going to be a hybrid, an opportunity for both models, for offline bookings, so anything that's complex or remote location or for a certain length of stay. But there's also going to be a lot of one-stop shop situations where there is content that it's city centre, people familiar with the brands. It's an inquiry that people feel more comfortable to be able to actually book themselves online, and people are doing that and consuming that with other elements like flights and hotels. And I think people do feel more comfortable to be able to maybe start booking service departments using those online booking tools that Kat was mentioning, and it's about distributing and getting access onto those. I think you're on mute, Richard.
I think you're on mute, Richard. Yeah.
How embarrassing. Right. Thank you, Kat. I'm miming it. Right. Yeah, no, exactly. That's interesting. Would you say, Kat, that it's because we have a lot of corporate housing, and by the way, we'll come on to some of the kind people that are making comments and introductions and questions very shortly. Before I do that, could I ask a question? Would you say that the GDS, because it's a comment that Matthew just made, are more suitable for shorter stay bookings and longer stay?
So there's two things to consider with this. One is the cost of sale, and the other is the booking habits of people who are booking the longer stay. Traditionally, the average booking length of stay is between 1.9 and 2.1 nights. Now, we are seeing a change in that, and we are seeing that getting longer. It's not clear yet, as the dust settles from the pandemic, whether that's a trend that's going to continue or whether people are staying longer at the moment because of pandemic related issues. Traditionally, because service departments are relatively new to the GDS, even though actually I've been working with service departments for about 15 years on the GDS, it's a habit and educating the travel agents. So at HotelRes, my colleague Emma Stevenson, for example, when she's working with the BTA, the Business Travel Association, a lot of what she does is actually educating the bookers, the travel management companies, the consortia, and the procurement people within that business travel ecosystem that apartments exist, they're available, this is the offering, these are the benefits. So from a corporate perspective, that's that's the work that's kind of ongoing, and we've seen a lot of benefit from that. We've seen a lot of appetite for service departments because people want that security to know that you've got your own kitchen, you've got your own space, you can make your own breakfast in your room. All of the sales points that your teams know when they're highlighting service departments. Mm. Also, I saw a question in terms of the size of property. Whether you can have different properties and different buildings.
Actually,
sorry, go on.
We'll get onto the questions. Because I guess you've seen it in the comments there. So I'll just get through. We'll probably cut that because we'll get to that then. Going back to Erica's Love the Music, I'm very pleased to see that Natalie wrote it woke you up. So I'm pleased about that, Natalie. Yeah, I'm already on my fourth coffee. So, and talking of coffee, I know that Phil this morning had not yet had his coffee at the time when we were having a chat. Tim Quirk, hi, Tim, welcome. Anybody, by the way, who is on this call and who is in global mobility relocation, and that's how Tim and I have come across each other, go to Love and Reload, Ben Cross. It's a great webinar, 9 o'clock UK time. Cara Sendel. Hi, Cara. Everybody, please put your company names in. Actually, nobody has. Sarah Bitt, welcome. Marcus, trying to remember the company name. Marcus, I saw you earlier on. Natalie, hi Natalie. Sarah, afternoon. Right, I'll get through some of these big cars. It's great if you put your company names in there. I might not have said that to you before. Jill, hello from Deluxe Suites in Michigan. Hi, Jill. Good to see you there. Mohammed from Colombo, Sri Lanka. Hi, Mohammed. Welcome. And yeah, would love to hear your company name. Eleanor, good that you made it, Eleanor. Greetings from Washington, D.C. Looking forward to this conversation. You can see that from the panelists will be able to see that there's a lot from the States that has come over. Corporate housing apply of as much interest to the corporate housing community as it is to the service departments. Veronica from Sheffield. Hi, Veronica. Nice to see you again. Excel City Apartments checking in from sunny Sheffield. I somehow doubt it. And Natalie saying hi to Stephen, over in the other end of the world. You're in Hong Kong, Stephen. Thanks. Glad you could make it. Not sure if you're still there because you're about to go on a call. But Stephen from Oasis Corporate Housing. Hi, everyone. That's Yatsek from Southampton Silver Service Apartments. Thanks for making it, Yatsek. Sarah from Week to Week, looking forward to this. Checking in from not so sunny and very windy Newcastle, yeah, can imagine. Marcia from Cotels in Milton Keynes saying hi. I think we're going to have to go back to the conversation very shortly. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Edenite, the Edenite reference. That was from Scott. Gosh, there are so many people here. I'll never get through them. We have to get through them. Let's go back to the conversation right now. However, so new clients is a question that I wanted to ask. Is the GDS a system where you can expect, if you go on the GDS, that you'll be actually finding new clients, or is it one which services the existing clients better? And maybe we could, take all of your opinions, starting with you, Kat. Something I was reading earlier, though, was a really good point, I think, that was made. That was when the GDS came along, it kind of leveled the playing field because you had independent hoteliers that could get that distribution amongst corporates, which was only previously the domain of the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the ones with the marketing books. So it kind of leveled the playing fields. But yeah, back to the question: can you win more business through the GDS? Do you think, or is it just servicing existing clients better?
Undoubtedly, you can win more business, and that's one of the things that I get really excited about, working with different properties worldwide, because yes, the GDS does to a certain extent level the playing field, and now because of that connectivity to the various channel managers, the big players like SiteMinder and D-Edge, but also to an awful lot of the property management systems. And I see a question there about Oscar, and I'll find out whether we have an existing connection with Oscar BMS. It gets you new business because it makes, somebody who's not in the habit of booking properties directly, it's very difficult to swing a corporate booker to book you directly if they have to book within their travel management policy, and if their travel management policy mandates that they must book through their travel management company and that they must book through their self-booking tool or through their agents. So we see a lot of properties join the GDS, and then it's really our job to help those properties find the right booking agents, find the right distribution route to market within the GDS. So the consortia participation, to really get that, to connect that plumbing and get those routes to market to those new clients. Obviously, your existing clients, they may come to you, and I'm sure that Michelle, your team get, they'll get RFPs directly, they'll get corporate clients approaching them directly, and the corporate client will say, for this business, the long stay business and the relocation business, we're going to book you directly. For the corporate transient business, we need to book via the GDS. And that's where a representation company comes in to facilitate that.
Right, thank you for that. I'll come to you in a minute, Michelle. What I would like to do, please, is whilst you're speaking, I will be posting some of these comments so that we'll get through to the questions to which Kat's been referring, because I've not even seen the questions myself in the chat. So bear with me with the comments that are going on the screen, and forgive me the people that have made those comments that I'm not actually verbally acknowledging you, but I do thank you we all thank you very much for tuning in. So I'll be doing that whilst you're speaking, Michelle, and then we'll come on to you, Matthew. So yeah, Michelle. So basically, really, how have you found it coming onto?
Yeah, I think there can be crossover at times, and not necessarily with the client themselves, but with the travelers. They can just they can just book direct themselves into the hotel, and as Kat said, they're mandated to use their agency, and they don't. So you'll have them coming direct, you'll have them using somebody else for their relocation business, and then you'll have transient. So one client can have so many different avenues booking into your property, and it's trying to change. I think that sometimes, when you look at it, sometimes and you give it as at 100%, you can have 50% of them doing it right and being mandated and using the GDS. You can have 10% of them just going off and doing their own thing. And you can have another 5%. So it's a real mix out there. But I think as well, it's a real relationship issue at stake there. You have to really build up that relationship with your clients, with the companies that you're trying to get on board as well, so that they know what's happening as well, because they don't always know that sometimes there's 20% of their staff that are just kind of going off and doing their own thing, and they probably won't know until the end of the year when they get the report from their TMC to show that we had these many room nights, but actually a percentage of them went off and they booked direct. There's huge potential to go in there and get and win new clients all the time. But for me, I find a lot of it is building up that relationships. They wouldn't know Stay City, so it's for me to get the product out there, with the help of obviously Hotel Res, through different activities as well, media plans and everything like that, looking at the consortias. It's just there's so much opportunity out there, but you really have to put an awful lot of effort into doing it. But 100% there's an awful lot of opportunity there to increase your revenue. We obviously decide on a percentage this year, and next year we're going to increase it, and I think that we can do that because it is there to take.
Yeah. So I think you both kind of mentioned the relationship aspect there, really, the relationship with the clients, and I guess, Matthew, that's actually spot on. Where your kind of principle as well, isn't it? Where you're saying, right, it's not so much the medium that is the issue, but the relationship with the people who are booking. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, completely agree with that. And to add to what Michelle's point was about starting to talk about mandation, a lot of they all kind of go hand in hand with distribution and mandation. And I think the unlocking access to a lot of these corporates, do have these travel policies where they're mandated to use certain channels. So, for example, we are preferred agency for certain TMC. So having your content live, not just in the GDS, but in other channels as well, will give them access to that inquiry. What we're also finding is a lot of TMCs are saying to us in terms of mandation is in terms of their fee structure. A lot of them have lower booking fees if they use online channels for servicing their inquiries. So rather than offline, which is traditional or more common way of booking service departments in the past, this is also, I think, helping to drive a more online inquiry. and that's getting, having that distribution and being available through those online booking tools or into the GDS or whichever way into the TMC's ecosystem, will enable more footfall from the corporates that are encouraged and incentivized to use more online adoption and use more online channels, as it's more cost effective for the corporates.
Yeah, exactly. Could Situ ever become a channel in itself?
Well, interesting that you say that, because we do with the channel managers that we use, we have got live content available on our website. So when anybody connects with us, that is available on our website, and we do have live booking features available, and it's growing all the time. So as an agency that services other agencies as well, we're kind of like a similar version to that. So for example, if somebody goes onto our website and can see the green, book now, people can book direct. So any of our suppliers that are listed on our website and they've got that direct connectivity, you can make a live booking. So it's very, very similar example as what the TMCs would want to see through their online booking tool. So yeah, very, very similar experience. And, we're looking to try and integrate into the TMC system so they all mirror each other. So any content that's live bookable on our system is pushed to the TMC. So really, really good opportunity here to drive a huge amount of exposure.
Right. Thank you. Kat, could I, because if I can just recap perhaps in my own mind where it is, and maybe then also for the viewers. So we've got the travel agent, so let me put it, airlines, and ultimately then it was the hotels, car rental, cruise people. They were saying, how can we get the paper off the desk and make it easier? We'll introduce e-commerce for the travel agents. So they got together, and ultimately, you got Sabres, and through Cisco, like you say, with a switch, what was it? The hotel industry switch company or something, isn't it? I know, God, I've not said that word for about 15 years. I really haven't. So they then created, let me put it like that, the GDS. So travel agents could then book the airlines, hotels, and what have you, in the same way that hotels were going, oh wow, here comes in 1995, here comes the internet. Let's distribute our stuff to the end user, and that could be someone going on holiday, or it could be like the person booking his business trip. But they're booking then online. So for want of a better kind of comparison, I would like to see it, generally speaking, as GDS equals OTA. GDS is to travel agents what the OTAs are to the end user online. So which brings me to my question, really. After all that babble, there is an actual reason for that, which is, how do end users access the GDS? Do they, have I got a new computer in my office kind of thing, or do they go online?
That's a really good question, and one of the biggest things that I touch on when I do GDS training and education. So travel agents will often use, still to this day, a DOS-based, it's all online, but it's a DOS-based system where they're entering long streams of code that only make sense to them, and it's all magic. But increasingly, travel agents now also have access to graphical user interfaces, which are effectively websites with glossy images and interactive maps and scrolling, image, dynamic images, video, etc. So the travel agent could be a travel agent. I don't know if my dog's just come along and said hello.
Hello, dog.
The travel agent could be somebody working from home, and travel agents have worked from home for a very, very long time, and particularly in America, travel management company professionals for as long as it's been possible. And they can just be on their home computer accessing the global distribution systems through their home desktop. But also then you get massive booking offices in every major city, and we've all been to Amex Bond Hill Street and CWT in Aberdeen, and that can be 20 odd booking agents in an office. The old-fashioned travel agent that is using the DOS-based screen, they're becoming rare, more and more rare. And the younger people that are coming through, they're using the graphical user interfaces. They're much more used to what's the graphical user interface of today? It's Apple is the leading provider of those. They're much more used to, even on a desktop or on applications. So GDS has gone from being this connectivity technical product to now being, yes, technical product with a base of the central reservation system. But on top of that, you now need much more awareness of your rates in terms of marketing, positioning, etc., your availability, interfaces, because that human being is going to be looking. And if they can't find availability very quickly, then they're going to move to the next property. Images are now absolutely, and my son has now asked for a biscuit. I'm going to get the full bingo of webinar things. You can have whatever you want.
Are they Waitrose biscuits?
They're actually they are. Ginger snaps.
Just checking.
So, okay, really 5 really important things for any accommodation providers watching: rates, availability, images, information, and commission processing. And I know that there'll be a smile here. Paying travel agent commission in a timely and accurate manner is so important, because these are the bookers, and this is the community that we're in, the travel industry, booking the properties. So we have to make sure that we're looking after those travel bookers and paying our travel agent commission in a timely manner.
Yeah, indeed. Right. Thank you for that. Would Michelle or Matthew, anybody like to add to what Kat's just said before I run the sponsors video?
Yeah, I would just say I agree with her that definitely your imagery and your content online is really, really important, because that's what the agency sees first off. If your first image is of the bin outside your hotel, or a random picture of a tree, it's not going to pull you in. You need your imagery to be sharp. You need your content to be sharp. So that's a big thing. We did a big huge exercise in Stay City of auditing, like, basically all our properties online, and it took a while, but it's worth it to have our content 100% correct. And something as simple as your coordinates, or the M25 is the road that leads into such and such, and similar to Paris and whatever like that. And then 100% like your commissions, whether you partner obviously with Onyx or whatever like that, is really, really important, because it allows the agent to know that they are going to get their commission paid on time and quickly, and that's really important from an agent's point of view. I presume, Matthew, everyone wants to be able to get they know their commission is coming on the 9th of whatever month. So 100% agree with Kat on those points.
Yeah, I would agree as well. And also on the point that you mentioned about the imagery and how everything is displayed and packaged now, because as Kat was saying, I remember back in the days, I still remember all the native commands of the DOS-based system, showing my age a bit now. But yeah, everything is more, as you say, the more the more web-based interface now, much more kind of white labeling, which is going on, and that's kind of given birth to the online booking tools that clients have from the TMCs. So yeah, it's all powered in the background by the technical historic system, but the way people consume it and interact with it is much more 21st century now. It has kind of come of age recently. So yeah, it's kind of, as you say, it's rare, a kind of dying breed, those of us that remember all those kind of technical DOS-based entries. But I think, what we've also done here at Situ is we've used a lot of that content that we get from our providers with the channels that distribute, is the images that we use, make sure that all the features are there, as Michelle also said about the coordinates, so all of our interactive mapping is correct. It's all really, really important, because people, are just so much more used to now consuming travel that way. And service departments is kind of the latest player to come to that, or be, gaining prominence. I know, Kat, you said that you've been working on that for several years, but it does feel like it's a bit of a watershed moment, because it's, we're trying to chip away now and utilize this kind of watershed moment where service department demand is growing. We're hearing that across the industry, and we want to start chipping away at, leveling up the playing field with hotels that have always been used in the GDS. It's a good opportunity for service departments to get in there as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Matthew. Right, I'm going to run the advert, which should have been about half an hour ago. We're approaching 6 o'clock. Could I ask people, does anybody need to leave at 6? Are you sure? No? How are you fixed? Yeah, we can keep going. Brilliant, because there are, as you highlighted there, Kat, there is at least 3 questions that I've seen in the comments. Please bear with us, of the ones that who've posted the comments, and also the greetings, and we will get around to you. Okay, so we're going to run a 2-minute ad. There's about as much time to make a cup of tea, maybe. It will probably not. So yeah, we'll run it now, and I'll see you in about 2 minutes. Welcome back. So we'll go to some of the comments, and then we'll get back to some of the chat. If you could, some of the areas maybe that we've not covered yet, I'll kind of come to you and say, whether there are any questions that my own questions haven't guided us down those routes, then that'd be good. So Nina, nice to see you, Nina. Yeah, you've put your name in the comment now, because it always comes up as a LinkedIn user, but I always know it's Nina. My stays are normally over 30 days. I hope this platform includes some. Yeah, I'd like to come back to that question actually. And Robin from Synergy saying, I agree. Could never figure out how to make it work for corporate housing. See, I'm actually really interested that there are online here a lot of corporate housing providers, and it's the same issue in the States as it is over here regarding with corporate service departments. Nikki from Flying Butler. Hi, Nikki. Ravi, hey, could you please share your pricing and features? Okay, so you can probably grab that from the chat, but otherwise we'll sort that one out. And thanks Ravi. Ravi's in Delhi. Right, these are some questions that will come back. Actually, oh gosh, I've never seen so many questions, to be honest. I'm drowning here. Let's deal with this one. Robin. So Robin says, Matthew, as an agent versus a service department property owner, how are you able to list your apartments on the GDS? Actually, the answer to that is they're not on the GDS, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, so we use other channel managers. I think the main angle from our perspective is more the importance of distribution, whichever channel you choose, whether it be the GDS, which is a really tried and tested, very prominent tool to use, but there are other channels that people can use. So we have other channels that use us. And then we then connect with the travel agencies. So it's all about distributing content. So it's very similar to like how OTA content also gets consumed by a TMC. So yeah, TMCs now consume content from lots of different sources. The GDS is one of the main ones, but there are other avenues to explore as well.
Okay, thanks, Matthew. Property Market, Leicester luxury apartments. Cats, but you posted your information there. Likewise, Matthew and Michelle, if you post your contact details in the chat there, and then people can contact you. Gabriel, what if your inventory is dynamic instead of static? Can you still manage your inventory through your PMS onto the GDS? Yeah, Kat?
Yes, yes, that is one of the greatest advancements that's happened. HotelRes, before I came back after having babies, they developed something called Res Switch, which is an API which basically means that we can connect to any property management system, revenue management system, or channel manager to enable properties to choose HotelRes, and we will do the connection. So if the connection doesn't already exist, and there's more than 60 already that exist, PMSs, more than 60 channel managers that exist, then we can actually work with properties to connect, and that's been a very exciting change because it's enabled the scale where, if I look at Michelle, it enables somebody like Michelle to manage multiple properties from one desk with viewership over the rates, availability, corporate RFPs. Yeah, and it's all through the integration with the property management systems or the channel managers. So yes, Gabrielle, we can do that today.
Brilliant, and thanks for the question, Gabrielle. Thanks for the answer, Kat. Now then, Sarah, maybe we should concentrate on some of the questions, and then we'll come back and see whether there's any aspects of your own businesses that have been left kind of uncovered, if that's okay with you. So Sarah ominously says, my first question thanks, Sarah, I'm joking, of course. Is there an option to support operators with individual units in different blocks? We have 25 units, so based on a per unit plan, is it outpriced for us? Is it too expensive? So it's my understanding that Sarah has 25 units in different locations. Is that how does that sit in terms of the GDS?
Okay, so we can, because we have what's called a private label ecosystem at HotelRes, we can be completely flexible. There are cheapest chips connectivity providers who will also put one property on, each unit on the GDS, but in reality that doesn't work. And I'd be very happy, Sarah, we can do a screen share and show you how it could look for you. The most important thing is to identify the business need, and that is, do you have corporate clients or clients that need to book you through this channel? Because yes, there is cost, but then also sometimes there is resource time involved. So, it's not all about the pricing, because, we can be very flexible on pricing. It's also about, are you going to get the return on investment from your time, and are your bookers going to benefit that? Is that the right route to market for you? I hope that's answered your question, Sarah.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. Matthew, we lost you for a minute there. I didn't know whether you wanted to, but I've pulled you back onto the stage. I don't know if that was whether I should do that or not. So please, by all means, go backstage if you want to again.
No, it was just a glitch. Apologies.
Okay, good. Looks like there's quite a few questions for Kat here. Kat, does Hotelres offer connectivity integration with the PMS system Oscar? One of the major housing provider PMS in the US, and in the UK as well. Yeah.
If that's Oscar owned by Torex, then yes. If it's a different Oscar, then I'll have to check for you. So, Johanna, I'll find out which Oscar that you're meaning. But we do connect with the Oscar that's owned by Torex.
Okay, right, great, thank you. Mike, what are the panel's views on the GDS being great for a commodity purchase such as hotel rooms, generally short stays, as opposed to actually my writing is so small on my screen, forgive me, more emotive purchase of a medium to long-term serviced accommodation. So it's kind of, you're investing a lot of time in staying in a service department, aren't you? So is it one of those situations where you want to kind of like just, do you want the involvement of people? And I suppose that maybe if we could ask for kind of short answers from each of you, including then Matthew, because it kind of spins off into that area, doesn't it, really, of how important is that relationship, person to person kind of contact. What would you say though, Kat, to that?
So the GDS, that's where it's so important to understand that there is pretty much always a human being behind that purchase, as well as the guest. So that's where representation and the sales support comes in, as opposed to just viewing GDS as connectivity. I'm connected, tick, yep, okay, I'm on the GDS, and 18 months later, oh, I'm not getting much business. It's so important to have that human being that is educating the booker.
It makes you kind of wonder. My head's spinning off there, imagining, like we're looking at a screen here, and whether on the GDS, whether somebody goes into then, let's say, Stay City, and then it'd be great if you could click on and have a little window like we can see Michelle there now, and so you could actually have that contact as well. But do you, Michelle, from your experience, is it usually shorter stays that you get through the GDS?
It is, but as Kat was saying earlier on, like this year, our average length of stay is 4.98 or something like that. So it's increased, and I think because of our product, it's increased as well. So people are staying, they're staying generally longer, and then it also depends on on the rate plans that they're booking on as well. There's a lot of different factors into it as well. We created a longer length of stay. I know somebody put up there that they, stay 30 nights plus. So you can create whatever you want yourself that is relevant to your property. But if it's, if that's not going to work for you, if you only have 15 or 16 units and you don't want people in there for only 2 or 3 nights, this is not the model for you. If you, it's all about your cost of sale as well, and it's different for us. We have properties that have, hundreds of rooms in them, so we can cater for that length of stay, and then we can cater for the transient market as well. So it's whatever you want out there. I have short stays, and then I also have rate plans that accommodate people that want to stay 28 nights. 28 nights as well. So it's very varied, but it's totally dependent on your property. Totally dependent on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a delicate balance and a dangerous balance, isn't it? Where let's say, and we'll come on to you, Matthew, but I'm imagining, let's say, Situ, a great business, a great model, and it's working, and then someone comes along and says, right, and there's this great technology, why don't we just switch on there? And if you do it wrong and you haven't thought it through, what's important to the clients, then you could end up with the business just, disappearing. What's your view on that one, Matthew?
Yeah, I agree. And you kind of touching on something that I wanted to mention as well, when you said about the human contact as well. And I think one of the benefits of the agency model that we have, that both operators and TMCs can have confidence in, is with us being like a one-stop shop resource, and that comes into its own also with the duty of care and due diligence element, which I know is just absolutely it was on the radar before the pandemic, but even now it's just absolutely such a huge topic. People are looking for not only just the benefits of service departments, and that is kind of helping raise the precedent away from hotels, but also in terms of, you know, for example, if people were to distribute via us and use a channel manager, from the TMC perspective, they've got the due diligence that we've done, as opposed to, you know, as you say, if somebody is just consuming something off the GDS that they are not that familiar with, or a brand that, or on an individual property level. Whereas I suppose that's an extra support that we can offer, that we've already done all of that work with the operator, and we can then communicate that and be like an additional champion of the operator to the TMC. So when the TMC are consuming it, they already know through the relationship and the USPs that we have with them and the agreement that we have, that everything that we put forward has got that element of due diligence that's happened in the background. And that's something that we found is very, very prominent at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Kat, is there any, or Kat or Michelle, is there anything that you'd like to add to this particular question before we move on?
Just briefly to pick up on the due diligence side that Matthew's just mentioned, that's so important now. You know, 15 years ago, there were about a quarter, I think, of the chain codes and the properties on the GDSs that there are now. So it's more important than ever that properties, independent properties, everybody knows what a Hilton is, you know, everybody knows what the core property brands are. But when you're an independent property, an independent accommodation provider, it's very, very important now to be under a reputable chain code where you are trusted. That chain code is trusted by the travel management company and the bookers, and quite a lot of the companies that we work with, and including in the service department space that I can't name quite yet, but you'll know them, have been recommended by various travel management companies, because the travel management company knows that if the property is with us, that then they're going to be well set up. They're going to have the rates, availability, images and information that they need. And I'm very, very happy to do a screen share with anybody who ever wants to see what the GDS looks like.
Yeah, I just remember it as green writing on a black background, so that's me. But the floppy disk really was that floppy. Yeah, so coming to what you were saying there quickly before we move on to the next question, and do a hands up if you really then have to go, because I mean I do want to be respectful of your own time, because I really appreciate your input here, and I don't want to abuse your generosity. But those codes, we've got 3 quick questions here, please, Kat. The codes, are they like 3-letter codes that you used to see in the hotel and travel index kind of thing, or?
Nearly 2-letter codes. So every chain group has a 2-letter code. So Best Western is BW, Hotel Res is HO, and then each hotel will also have their own GDS chain code as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. So if they're listed under you,
they're HO.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And then that's what. So they will. That's your kind of. So reassurance of the user.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You want to do a shout out to some of your service department clients, because we've not mentioned those, and then I've got another question.
Stay City and Wild, Rooms, Staying Cool at the Rotunda, Waterloo Place in Birmingham. Gosh.
Yeah, you're boasting now, right?
I do. You know, one of the Hotel Res takes a holistic approach. We support the travel agent and the accommodation provider. So, you know, we've partnered with the ASAP to ensure that we're meeting the needs of the accommodation providers, and then obviously we partner with the BTA and the GBTA, et cetera, to make sure we're meeting the needs of the bookers. So, yeah, I'm really proud of our portfolio of serviced accommodation, because I know they're well looked after.
2 quick questions here before we move on. I really want to move on. But number 1, you can only have 1 listing on the GDS, right? So if they're with you, they can't list anywhere else. Is that right?
Yeah. So the rules that govern the GDSs, you are only allowed to be listed on by 1 chain code, 1 provider.
Okay. I've forgotten the other question. It'll come back to me. Good. That really was short memory, wasn't it? That's embarrassing, and it's been recorded. Right, Shoaib's got. So Shoaib from now then. Forgive me, Shoaib. You mentioned the company earlier on. Stay Relive, I think it is. So hello panel. I'd like to understand, why don't we have more apartment distributors invest in technology platforms for distributional efforts? There aren't many developing outright APIs to connect with online sellers. Does anybody want to comment on that? It's a little bit too technical for me, I think. I'd like to understand, why don't we have more apartment distributors invest in technology platforms? Yeah, you go ahead then, Kat.
I think the barriers to entry in terms of investment for apartment distributors is so high, and that there are so many very well established channel managers, property management systems, and property management systems that don't call themselves property management systems because they're too cool and modern and cloud-based. That are doing that. So something that was only specific to the service department sector, there's just a cost barrier of entry when there is existing technology that works. Okay. In my opinion.
All right, thank you. By the way, there isn't a massive bumblebee in the house. We've actually got builders, in case you can hear the drill behind me. So, but it does sound a bit like a bumblebee. Right, so moving on. So I had a little chat with Stephen earlier on, Stephen from Oasis in Hong Kong. We were talking about how much coffee we can drink in a day, and he's on his 100th. So respect to you there, Stephen. Right. Oops. Bear with me. Hi panel, great topic today. That's from Nika Corporate Housing. Thanks, Dominic. We've had some of these. I'll go straight on to the questions. That's not a question. We've had that one, haven't we? Yeah, we did that one. Gabrielle's, we did that. Raj. If the GDS is allowing apartments to be packaged with other products like airline tickets, whose terms and conditions take precedence, or does the client know that each product has its own T&Cs? I'm guessing that one's to you, Kat.
So, God, I mean, that's quite a... Each segment within a GDS booking has its own T&C, and when a travel professional is making a reservation booking that includes the different segments, then I think actually, Matthew, you'll probably be much better placed for me than answering this. The terms and conditions are reflected within each segment, because naturally flight has a different set of terms and conditions to accommodation. Most commonly that you'll pay for your flight in advance or your train ticket in advance. Yes, you can eat it all. There you go. I've even had the 2 biscuits conversation. Whereas accommodation still is traditionally not prepaid and paid at the property on arrival or departure.
Okay, thank you. Matthew or Michelle, did you want to make comments on that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think each element that would make up a booking, if somebody was using the GDS to book a flight, then a hotel, and then an ancillary product, they would all be treated as individual commodities, and the consultant would be able to view all of those terms and conditions at the point of sale, as they're consuming it. So I know from my time at TMCs and using the GDS, there's ways to read all the rules of the ticket, the airfare, the hotels, terms and conditions, and that empowers the consultant at the TMC to actually then put the notes in or communicate that to the actual end booker or customer. So they would just consume it piece by piece as the booking builds. So normally people would have the flight, then the hotel, and each bit has got the opportunity to put all the rules and the terms and conditions in. So I think they're all treated equally, and each component would have to be communicated of all the terms.
Yeah, and we would set out we'd have different terms and conditions or cancellation policies depending on the rate plan that we have live on the system. So, you know, our bar rates would have a totally different cancellation policy or T's and C's than, you know, a rate plan that is, whether it's a van purchase or a longer stay. So we would set them ourselves, and then obviously the agent can see that, and then obviously, yeah, again, they would pass that on to the client so they would know.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. And thanks, Raj, for the question. Got a question from Renee Stegman, my residence Africa. With all these other systems like Alta Vita and OWL, would it not make sense for these systems to be developed by the likes of Amadeus? So Alta Vita and OWL are reservation systems, reservation platforms. Sorry. I mean, I suppose it's just competition, really, isn't it? You know, it's a matter of how you want to. You know, there's various ways to skin the cat as such. Forgive me, I didn't mean no pun intended. Don't run away, cat. But yeah, so it's and they are then. So the GDSs have came along, developed by the airlines, and I suppose Alta Vita and OWL. In the early days of the internet, there was a thing called they used to call it IDS, where Internet Distribution Systems. Yeah, Kat?
So that is the fifth GDS that I mentioned at the beginning of the call. You know, you've got Sabre, Amadeus, WorldSpan, Galileo, and Disco, or the IDS. And Disco is now owned by a company called RateGain. Disco can be thought of as the GDS for online travel agents. And a very, very important thing for anybody trying to sell their rooms through the GDSs is also to make sure that your provider is putting you on Disco and including images and text content so that you're actually bookable and visual. And
right, thank you, and thank you, Renee, for that question. Now then, Sarah is asking, could the travel agent not take the commission at source? But that relates to a question, something that somebody was saying, but I don't know at what point.
I think it was to do with the with the commissions. Like if you sign up for the likes of Onyx, they will consolidate your commissions for you, and you know you'll do whether it's monthly, weekly, or whatever. Which is in I don't know now. I think that's a question for Kat if they can take it at source.
Yeah.
Or Matthew.
Or Matthew, sorry, or Matthew.
Yeah. I mean,
throwing it on you, Kat. Sorry, Matthew.
It does depend on the agreement as well. I think, you know, in terms of how we manage, you know, we have a really transparent relationship with our providers, with our operators. So, you know, some can take the commission straight away out of the invoice, or some can send us a commission invoice afterwards. It's totally down to, you know, what agreement we've got in place. So yeah, it is always an open conversation.
Right. Thanks. Thank you for that. Next question. How are we doing for time, by the way, dear people of the panel? Any time limits coming up, or are we still okay to keep rolling?
I've got about 5 more minutes, if that's okay. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay. The last time I worked on the GDS, so right, we're going to try and hammer these very quickly with the answers, I guess. The last time I worked, and it's a really frantic hands up kind of thing. Yeah. The last time I worked on the GDS more than 10 years ago, the consortia process was painful but driven by fixed dates. Is the process still made up of extensive consortia bidding packs and driven by financial year ends? Okay.
Yes, but good representation companies. So at HotelRes, we use one tool called Res to Market, which means that, and as I touched on Michelle, one person can manage all of the RFPs for a multitude of properties. So yes, there is still that data. Yes, there can be, for properties who are doing it manually, a painful and protracted RFP process, but there is technology out there that can help, and then there's also human help.
Okay, anyone else want to offer anything there, or should we move on? Moving on.
I agree with that there, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Raj. Stephen Wong, how would the system distinguish the different grades of serviced apartments offered by suppliers, i.e., similar to the one to 5-star grading system for hotels, or is it solely based on pricing? Is there a star system visible on the GDS?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would put your full property information, your star ratings, your travel weekly rating. There's an American group that does the global
Crown, is it?
Crown. And
Crown, yeah.
So you'd put all of your ratings and all of your descriptions, so the booker would be able to differentiate your property.
Right. Gosh, there are so many questions here. I'm almost breaking out into tears. You know the feeling.
It's obviously a very popular subject, Richard.
Yeah, it is. It's popular for me as well. I wanted to learn more about it. To be honest, it's one of those that was clearly, it really, there are so many people that want to know more about it. Joanna Rennell from Stay. GDS is in the States. Stay. GDS is a powerful revenue generator for static extended stay, inventory and hotels, but furnished apartments are often time sourced based on the client's requests, making it challenging to promote and manage. Yeah, fair enough, fair point. And also in the States, there's a kind of a just-in-time thing, isn't there, where there'll be a client's request and then they source the apartments according to that. So that's a particular challenge, I think, for corporate housing in the States. So for Europe, I can't see the tears are steaming up my glasses. For Europe, which is the second best channel manager for Europe, which is the second best channel manager from where you can link up with more apartment providers? The second best?
It depends which you think is the best.
Yeah, I think I know pretty much for a fact that Amadeus is the strong one in Europe, isn't it?
Do you mean which is the best GDS from where you can link up with more apartment providers?
Sorry, channel manager.
Because channel manager, so the GDSs, I would encourage anybody, please don't think of them in isolation. I would be as firm to say, never just go on to one GDS. There's no point.
Okay.
Make sure that you're on all four and disco, and that's
moving on. Good stuff. Sarah, thank you, Kat. Says thank you, Kat, and there's the email address. Direct agency bookings and longer stays. Joanna, thank you, Kat. Please feel free to contact, and there's the address there that you can grab later. Renee, hi Matt. What due diligence is standard? Oh wow, that's a long one, isn't it? Is that do you need to go, Kat?
Yeah, I should probably go, but I'm very, very happy to take questions either by email or via LinkedIn. And yeah, the due diligence. How long is a piece of string? I've spent much of today doing a data security and due diligence piece for one client, and other clients have two questions. So it varies hugely from client to client.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Before all the biscuits. Well, Kat, thanks very, very much for your inputs. Michelle and Matthew, are you okay for another 5 minutes, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Kat.
Bye, Kat.
Right, we'll run through these. So, what have you done? Sorry, yeah.
On that previous question about due diligence, again, just echoing what Kat said, it does depend, and it depends on what level the question's being asked. So, for example, if it is, to bid or an RFP stage, and people are, a client has got a specific list of questions, like Kat said, or whether it's more generic, as in what is the minimum requirements that somebody's looking for, whether it's fire and safety and energy certificates and things like that. That's kind of information that we have on file. and it means that people don't have to ask them all the time. It's this particular provider has up to date for this year, that's on record, and that's great. And there is that then duty of care, or that paper trail, that people know that, you know, that box has been ticked, that due diligence has happened, and that paper trail is there.
Right. Thank you. So they're only saying we've had agents book it in Africa, and the guests arrive, and there's no property. So that's, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, there are problems there, which it's a whole can of worms, really. But I remember those even from the old days with the GDS and the service departments. Quickly answering Sarah, yeah, they've got to finish the bathroom this week. Sarah. Hello, Kat. Thanks for sharing. Appreciated. And then there'll be that contact. I think we have actually. I think that they are just interviewer comments. Let's just run through the comments. Let's just air them, and then I won't read them out though. Partly because I can't see them because my screen is so small. But I do thank everybody for having posted the questions and the comments, and I really hope that we've covered everything there. So yeah, thank you, Raza. How can we get you? Just a moment, please, and I will get a decent picture. We'll get you back in a minute, Matthew. There you go. Right. So, Michelle, Matthew, is there anything that before we kind of say our goodbyes, is there anything that any points that you'd like to make that we've not covered either in the talk or in the questions? Well, you're okay then, yeah? Okay. In which case, I'd really like to thank you so much for your time. 90 minutes, you know, you're really generous, and thank you for fielding the questions and for examining the topic, which is really, you know, of if not of concern, it's certainly of interest, and I think it's even of concern to people that they're missing out on a lot of corporate business. So, you know, I'd like to thank you, Michelle Ray from Stay City. Now then, Matthew Dealey-Harkett. I thought I wouldn't be able to read your name there, Matthew. That's why I was worrying. I thought from Situ. So thank you so much. Thank you to the live viewers today, and to those who will be watching the recordings, who are watching the recordings. So I will now run the outro video, but thank you very much indeed for addressing this rather mysterious topic. But it's certainly helped me. Okay.
Thanks Richard.
See you. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.